to do the bind.
Well, this is an interesting day because I am confronted by, I think, the same issue that a lot of people are confronted with in any kind of reporting circumstance, wherein you're not 100% sure how to report the news while saying the news. It's it's an odd moment in any broadcaster's life, I would think. The main issue, of course, being that the president has used words that technically will get you fined on most standard broadcast outlets. And by the way, this is not the first time he's used this kind of language, and it's not the first time this kind of colorful language in the abstract has been used. For example, in the White House. Let's not kid ourselves. Lyndon Johnson himself was a pro in many ways at just flat out making. I guess they can hear me now, but they couldn't hear me with the other one. We'll work that out. That the issue that they had was that it's just the words that are being used that are bad, not the actual point of the words that they're using. The idea that you would say big effing deal about passing health care for the majority of Americans is incredibly important. You know, it is a natural human reaction to thinking you've done something good. It is the equivalent in a lot of ways of people saying an expletive like that in a sporting event where they feel particularly proud of their victory. Fairly common occurrence, let's just say. And in the case of Biden saying that, he literally was saying big effing deal about the idea that, wow, we have actually provided health care and raised the health care benefits of millions upon millions of people. There is a ripple effect of how this is going to affect human beings, and it's something to be proud of. That's the root of it. When Donald Trump refers to, as was initial reporting, people from Haiti and people from Africa as coming from S-hole countries, that's not the same as saying getting health care to millions of people is a big effing deal. Those swear words, I'm sorry I have to have this discussion with Republicans who view themselves as adults, are not the same expression. And if you have a problem with swearing in general, you need to talk to Ted Nugent. You need to start curtailing some of your other, the Dennis Millers of the world, let's just say. But for the record, insofar as how we view things on this show, all swearing is not created equal. And it is the meaning behind that swearing that is indicative of character and indicative of priorities. And in the case of what Donald Trump is reported to have said in these meetings is that basically saying, why do we have to keep taking people from all these S-hole countries? Why can't we get more people from countries like Norway? Which, of course, in Michael Wolff's book, he talks about something we've mentioned on this show a lot, and I think it became a running gag during the campaign even, that Donald Trump tends to repeat the last thing he heard as God's truth, because he can't tell the difference between thoughts he's had and words he's heard. And so whoever spoke to him last, he thinks that's his most recent brilliant idea. And which is why, by the way, at that, the DACA meeting, everyone is jockeying to be the last person in Donald Trump's ear. It is the essence of his, his quote unquote marketing genius. That people are always jockeying to be the last person that spoke to them, because everybody around him, his lawyers, his business managers, his children, all those people know that if they're the last one to speak in his ear, they will be the one who gets their project through, their any kind of treat that they're trying to get from this giant racist freak that is currently running the country. Okay, so Michael Wolff's book speaks to this, and in an effort to push back. Now let's understand. This was supposed to be physical and mental stability week for the president. This is like infrastructure week from last year. That this was supposed to be mental and physical, superiority week. Even like this is not even an issue where Trump even allows him to have it. Like, oh yeah, he's doing fine for a man his age. I am the most physically superior person. It must be the height of propaganda. Report, by the way, is coming out that the White House, and anybody who saw the fact that they misspelled the doctor's name on supposedly what was a quote from the doctor, knows that this is not surprising at all. But that Trump himself has wanted to change every single word, including lowering his weight to 199, but that but his staff talked him out of it because it would be so unrealistic as to be fictitious. We have a list, by the way, of his medications that he's on. This is one of the first things that's come out of Superior Physique. He's on finasteride, also known as Propecia for hair loss. He's on baby aspirin. He takes a baby aspirin a day. Not that uncommon for people who are protecting their heart, who may have been. He's on a statin to lower cholesterol, which is its entire job is to fight off the remnants of Kentucky Fried Chicken in his intestinal tract. And he takes antibiotics to treat rosacea, which is interesting. And that's what he's taken in the past. So that we're waiting till Tuesday to find out if he's still on them. If this is the constant, regimen that the president is currently on. The statement coming from the White House that allegedly the White House physician said was that he's in extraordinary physical condition, which is in no way possible. Let's be abundantly clear. There is nothing about Donald Trump's physique, his stamina, his sleep schedule, his hydration level. There is no one who consumes that many Diet Cokes a day is going to be in extraordinary health. They might be on some level fine, whatever. but they are not going to be extraordinary by any sense. I doubt we're going to get a box jump number from Trump's doctor. I doubt we're going to get that his bench press has improved since making America great again. We're going to get none of that. We got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the least surprising story this week is about the fact that his lawyer paid $130,000 to a porn star to keep an affair quiet that he had 3 months after Barron was born. But that ultimately, this was supposed to be the week that, and to quote Hannibal Lecter, Donald Trump would thrall us with his acumen. We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. All right. Hi, chat room. Sorry about the dust up at the beginning. Wirecast is being weird. I don't know if it has an update or if something's up, but we will hopefully solve that before too long. But we're up, and I think you guys can hear me okay, and I think, just let me know that it apparently seems to be okay. Morning, Julie. Apparently, Trump is afraid of being poisoned. It's a wonder he doesn't have a food taster. Well, effectively, he is using America as his food taster. That's the argument, Tom, is that he apparently is so afraid of being poisoned that he eats only he only eats fast food stuff that people have. There's thousands of people eating there every day, so he figures they can't ever guess. They'd have to poison all these other people to poison me, and would they do that? So, there you go. Bit obviously ridiculous, but what are you gonna do? Let's see. I can move that down here. There we go. Excellent. All right. Putting together my so I personally just don't buy the idea that I don't think anybody does. Nobody buys the idea that he's extraordinarily healthy or any of that nonsense. It's his good genes argument. The problem is, what's a box jump number? So your box jump in a gym is, they have these different boxes of different heights, and your standing jump to land on one of those boxes, is a big. It's big in CrossFit right now. People doing box jumps. Yeah, baby aspirin is usually to guarantee against a any kind of a heart issue too. A lot of people do it as like simply a preventative measure. Pretty much any 71-year-old man is going to have health problems. Yeah, that's it is a Masonic apron behind me. Yeah, I'm trying to spook as many people. Natalie, thank you so much. Look at that. Oh yeah, 3 days, right?
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
Welcome back to the show. So the story, the back and forth that networks, the hoops they've been jumping through in a vain attempt to have their S-hole and censor it too, has eaten up a lot of the news bandwidth in the last couple of days. It is obviously, and I said this when it first came out, and I stand by the fact that what he said was racist, and the fact that he doesn't care points to the fact that he himself is racist. I have no problem in saying that. The man was sued for denying black people, the ability to rent in his buildings. They were color coding people, quite literally. They were sued by the Justice Department early on. It was one of the first acts of his professional life. He's been reported over the years of saying, I don't want black people counting my money. I want the little short guys with the yarmulkes. Like, there's all kinds of garbage in his past. and in his present that points to the fact that the man is a racist. And the idea that he somehow is okay with certain people in positions of power of color, or positions of power who are Jewish, for example, is not indicative of his generic racial feeling towards people. Let's be abundantly clear about that. He's okay with he hates Muslims, but he's cool with Saudi princes because they have money. He views they immediately shift into a class discussion. It's sort of the Donald Trump's everybody's white at the top attitude, right? And so the idea that he would have, he's in the past either hired or had people around him of color that, by the way, he uses as basically human shields against accusations of racism. So the idea that he does it out of the goodness of his heart is sort of an absurdity. Never mind that fact. The reality is that he views, my feeling when he said that was it almost seems as if he considers any country he couldn't be a sex tourist in to be garbage. And his feeling about, all Haitians have AIDS, for example, or the issue of AIDS in Africa is indicative of kind of his feeling about that. So, but all that aside, and that's a lot. There's a lot to unpack in how ridiculous Donald Trump has been as a human being over the last year. Let's remember, Michael Wolff's book comes out, sells millions of copies, sells out all over the place. I got an early copy Friday. We went through some of this last week. And the premise of the book is not only is Donald Trump effectively infantile in his approach to his workday, incapable of understanding or unwilling to study anything that's supposedly important to him, much less anything he thinks is unimportant. The overarching story was that everybody in the White House thinks Donald Trump is either stupid, nuts, or when they're being charitable, has the mind of a child. I think the number was 12 years old. And this was the hard landing of the Wolff book, the one that is sticking the most and was getting in the White House's craw. So what did they do this week? What did they do? They set up several cabinet meetings, including one on DACA, where they left the cameras in the room so that people could see Donald Trump's on it, man. He's aware of this. He even said he read one of the briefing papers from one of the Congress people. If you'll notice, he brought up, I read that, it was very good. To point to the fact that, of course, I read. Doing basically damage control this entire time. This was the first time, by the way, that this White House has effectively set forth a PR pushback campaign to protect the delicacy of the president's image. Before, they've just gone, basically go to hell was enough. And the president could just go on and say, I'm really like a smart person. And people would kind of buy it in his circle. And everybody who didn't like him was like, this is more flap from the guy. But there were Republicans alike, and large portions of them were starting to drift off the reservation because of the fact that what he was saying and how he was sounding was concerning to them. Okay, they were really getting concerned. And in the case of, this week, they were like, we're going to deal with that, right? And so they set up this cabinet meeting. They let the camera stay in. Allegedly, everybody in the room was really surprised that he allowed the cameras to stay in during this negotiation. Dianne Feinstein famously says, I think what we need is a clean DACA bill, and then we can start work immediately on comprehensive immigration reform. And the president said, yeah, I think that's I'm for that. We should do DACA. We need to get DACA done. We'll get DACA done right away, and then we'll immediately work on all the other stuff. And Kevin McCarthy freaks out, jumps in and says, well, no, Mr. President, I don't think you are understanding what she's saying. A clean DACA bill means she just wants to do DACA and then everything. We have to have security. We don't want to be back here in 2 or 3 years, which is the story. They think we're going to have 800,000 new DACA people, even though they've been in here for decades, some of them, because they were brought here as children, and now they're serving in the military and going to our schools, and they've never, ever, ever, ever been as a cognizant human being to the country of their origin. They don't know it any more than Donald Trump speaks German or Gaelic. If they were dropped in the middle of it, would be completely without any recourse whatsoever. So Kevin McCarthy basically throws himself on the grenade. No, Mr. President. We have to have comprehensive we have to have security with it. Otherwise, we'll be right back here. And he goes, I think that's what she's saying. When that's not what she was saying at all, not at all. And after you can say, well, he's a newbie, and he doesn't understand politics. That was a year ago, and even then. The idea that you're saying you have one of the great brains, one of the great memories, and then you don't know what a clean bill is? For Christ's sake, you don't know what a clean bill is. You misunderstand in front of cameras that you brought in to point out that you are on top of it, right? Okay, so that's this is a man throwing tacks in his own driveway. And throwing and just filling his yard with rakes every day he goes outside. So let's be abundantly clear that their solution. And by the way, thank you, Carl, for the super chat too. I saw it go by and I appreciate it. Everybody who's at houseparks.tv watching the stream, thank you so much for contributing your voices, but also contributing in the super chat. Always welcome. So thankful for that. That this was the way they kicked off super mental acuity week for the president. This is how they decided that let's really let people know just how on it Trump is, right? So that's the beginning. This is day one of their pushback against the Michael Wolff book, which says that everybody in Trump's cabinet 100% views him as either stupid, incredibly gullible, or a child, which is usually, I guess, a combination of the two. Then we get tweets from the president that go against his own policies. We get tweets from the president saying that that the FISA warrant system, which was a product of 9/11, part of the security measures put in that are big fear. Red state America loved the FISA warrant bill, essentially the FISA Act. I guess it's saying act twice, but they loved FISA, and because that's how we're going to get those Muslims and any terrorists who are in the country. And if anybody's getting radicalized in the United States, that's how we're going to listen in on them. And, we need this, right? And the president wakes up one morning and says, is this how they spied on Trump Tower and illegally unmasked the Trump White House campaign? Needs to go. And then 2 hours later, there's this tweet where he backs down from that, which we now find out was written by General Kelly. I joked about the fact that, quote, the intern was going to be blamed for the second one or would have picked up this. And when the story came out, it wasn't his social media director, who supposedly has his voice down and has been terrific at getting Donald Trump tweets to sound just like Donald Trump, even when Donald Trump doesn't want to do them. General Kelly logged on to Trump's feed and changed policy via Twitter this week. This is Mental Stability Week. We'll be right back. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We'll be taking your calls, too, 773-763-9278. Good God. We have new Trump tweets. 4 hours ago, he just yelled, "America first!" Hi, everybody. Oh, look at this. Oh, boy. Look at that. Hold on. Let's see if I can. Oh, it's going to be down on this camera. Hold on. America first! Damn it! Yeah, he just. Good grief. So, hi, chat room. Oh, did you see the pastor on Joy Reid? Is that what you guys are talking about? Yeah. There you go, and then we'll go.
You have about a minute and a half, but there's a couple callers already.
Oh, good.
Paul from Seattle and Kurt from California.
Great. Let's see if I can go to this picture. You guys good? Can you hear okay? Still? I have to check every scene now. They did not bring back Dr. Dude, by the way. Hal, it's about saying what he thinks still works. Absolutely, Edward. They turned the dog whistle into a... sorry. America first is a porn star Trump dated. And Lady B, everybody in the chat saying hi, too.
Hi.
Thanks. Hi. Oh, great, Carl. You got it. Sweet. Oh, such a relief.
Seconds.
Now back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 773-763-9278.
So understand that Dick Durbin and Lindsey Graham have been working on immigration reform and the DACA fix for weeks now. They've put together a couple of options. The DACA program itself doesn't really need fixing per se. It effectively, through productive citizenry, pays for itself over time. There's no real high financial cost ultimately of DACA. But don't let the truth stop you, Mr. President. So Trump this morning. So again, the DREAM Act is a democratic construction. They wrote it. They devised it. President Obama, through executive action, used basically the language in the DREAM Act as it stands. They've done all the work in this circumstance. And so President Trump this morning, 4 hours ago, the Democrats are all talk and no action. They're doing nothing to fix DACA. Great opportunity missed. Too bad. And then a couple seconds later, America first, all caps. And then an hour after that, I don't believe the Democrats really want to see a deal on DACA. They're all talk and no action. This is the time, but day by day, they're blowing the one great opportunity they have. Too bad. He said too bad twice. He's also said all talk and no action twice in less than an hour. He's basically building on the tweet he did before. But understand, the entirety of the construction of DACA has been, for the most part, a democratic construction. So the idea that they're not doing anything is absurd. Let's just be, whatever. But, I mean, most of what he says is, so that shouldn't surprise us at all. But this is, again, Mental Health Week, Superbrain, Captain Superbrain Week, insofar as what the White House is trying to convince us this president is like. And the reality of, that is slamming up against the messaging from the White House is painful to everybody involved. They're expecting a mass exodus of staff in the next couple of weeks. I think it was our ambassador, I want to say to Panama, who stepped down this week because it was too embarrassing to serve. African nations are asking for an apology and a retraction from this president for referring to their countries the way he did. And above all, there is no point during the entire process, both in dealing with DACA and the H-1B3, I think it is, visa program, any of these elements where the president has shown a grasp of the issues, a clear and decisive principled position, and leadership. That has not happened this week. There has been no point in the White House's rollout of Superbrain, version 3.0 of Trump. None of it points to that he has any kind of awareness of the issues, of the depth of the issues in any way. The reality is that, and here's the thing. There was a lot of talk about him being mentally ill, and people who've seen my stand-up act know how I feel about using the suffix phobia on everything. But Trump is not mentally ill. As a matter of fact, I have no doubt that his medical report will come back saying that he has the greatest brain ever, and that upon his passing at the age of 500, because he's in such perfect health, he'll practically never die. He'll probably be killed by the mainstream media in 500 years when they've weaponized it. Alex Jones told me all about it. That his brain will be Soylent Green to make the nation greater even still. We'll all eat chunks of his brain and it'll turn us into superhumans. I have no doubt that's the information that's going to come back. I think he is an incurious bigot who has the same sort of principles and ideas of any second-generation rich kid whose father didn't like people of color either, and was raised rich and privileged. And I'm not calling it affluenza. I'm saying, because not everybody who's like that, who's raised like that, is like that. But it is enough of a cliche. And by the way, in our chat room, we're talking about how Carl in our chat room was saying not sure about my statement about the president's health or whatever. That if the report is authentic, it will be written by a military doctor. It won't contain hyperbole. I agree that the report written by the doctor will not be full of hyperbole and will be full of facts and current and important medical information. The question is whether we will actually see it or if he'll just take questions on it on behalf of the White House rather than release it. With Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Kevin McCarthy running interference for it. And Carl's right. The first report was faked last night. The sentence that they came out with or whatever. And thank you, Billy. I appreciate it for the super chat. Let's take a call, actually. Lady B, I think we have a couple calls on the line. Who do we have first?
We have Paul from Seattle.
Excellent. Hey, Paul, welcome.
Oh, how's it going, Al?
It's good.
I just got to chime in a couple things.
Sure.
Real quick here is that, the first thing we were talking about was, well, this isn't the first time profanity's been used in the White House,
sure,
so to speak. And my thought is this. Okay, when I first started teaching, I taught special ed.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to deal with this almost every day. Remember, Billy said, he said it and you didn't do anything.
Right.
It's like you have to get to this point where I don't care what Lyndon Johnson or Richard Nixon said
sure,
50 years ago.
Yep.
We're talking about what you said
today.
Now,
right.
Today.
Yep.
Right? And that's really the issue, because all the rest of it, and this is what the right wing is going to come out with if they haven't already on Friday. They'll come out on Monday when they process this. They have to go through and do a search for, remember when Lyndon Johnson did this? Remember when, didn't Bill Clinton say? They'll go all of the profanity bombs ever dropped and say, so you can't really criticize. In other words, you can't criticize Trump because it's been done before.
Right.
And I do take your point seriously, that you dropping an F-bomb in a positive way is different than what he did.
Yes.
So, if I have a kid and I say, okay, guys, we're going to have pizza for lunch today, and a kid says, F yeah, pizza. And I'm not going to say, Joe, not for you, because you said dropped an F-bomb, right?
Yeah.
Unless we have Joe's on probation for dropping F-bombs in the classroom, right?
Or he says, F them because they're of a certain color, they don't deserve pizza. That is a world away.
Exactly. So,
right.
Exactly. So there is something to that part, too.
Yes.
But, yeah, we are down to such childish terms. And I look at this way, is that Donald Trump gave the middle finger, dropped a profanity bomb on the American people first. Not just the world, but he dropped it on us first.
Mm-hmm.
Because he dropped that in front of our representatives, and he had to know. This guy has no ability to self-monitor and self-edit. He just can't.
Right.
He doesn't. I don't know if he's doing that on purpose. It's just one more thing after it. It's just one after another.
Yeah. It points to a consistency
of
character.
And maybe I'll just wrap it up there. I don't really know where to go with this guy at this point, because it's every day after day after day after day. Like you say, the first week of I'm a stable genius, and this is what you get.
That's right. That is my point. My entire point for the show, and I thank you for ably pointing it out. Is that this is the week they were supposed to be pushing back against the idea that not only is he not a bigoted, narcissistic fool, but he's also in command. He has leadership capabilities. He's the deal maker you voted for, right? That's the story. That's the, so we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll take more of your calls, 773-763-9278. And the story that apparently Donald Trump is not aware that either all black people are on welfare or that only black people are on welfare. He seems confused about that. Yeah, really. We'll be back. Let's see. Harry, yeah, let's see. I'm pretty sure we're not treating you any different than we treat us in one of your side's chat rooms. Suck it up, Buttercup. Okay, calm down, everybody. Carl, listen to lesser-known Jay Giles band song, No Anchovies, Please. Kind of funny if you and kind of something like anchovies on the pizza and you had to have half. Okay, but, does that include corporate welfare? Absolutely not. Any thoughts on Chris Matthews in the video about the Cosby rape pill? I didn't actually see the video itself, and I think it was an untoward joke. I also think it was part of the problem certain people had with a woman running, and there were clearly 6 or 7 media pundits who were put off. Hal, censor me? Okay, if you want me to. Let's see. How about that? You asked for it. I didn't see the previous conversation, but I put him in a timeout. He was just shouting pro-Trump phrases, nothing intelligent to debate. Okay, gotcha. It's all about profanity. It's not about profanity. It's about racism. Exactly, Charles. Exactly. Because if he'd have said these countries, yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to bring that up on the thing because this is something I was talking about yesterday, and I want to speak to this.
$40 and you have 3 more callers.
Chris Matthews is a sexist pig who objectifies women. Okay. Lonnie was going on about how he wouldn't fight with you, but he just couldn't resist. I see. Jude, let's hope Trump is the worst president. Let's leave out so far. Okay. It's all about their appearance with Chris Matthews. I don't know that that's necessarily true. He's had a lot of female guests on that he's been very respectful of and very impressed by. I think it's, I'm drinking sparkling water.
Now back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 773-763-9278.
So an important point was brought up in our chat room that, very succinctly said, which was that it's not about, Charles in our chat room said, it's not about profanity, it's about racism. And that's exactly the point with Trump's comments this week. Because quite frankly, it wasn't the fact that he swore. If he had said, these garbage countries, the reaction, I think, would have been equally as strong. As a matter of fact, I think it would have been stronger because there wouldn't have been this back and forth online about whether or not they can say the word, eating up some of the bandwidth in talking about, just discussing the use of the word itself, eating up all the bandwidth. If he'd have said all these garbage countries, the reaction would have been equal and similar. It isn't about swearing; it's about the racism of the idea, right, Julie, in our chat room, the sentiment of it. The report was coming out that he backed off his statement. The defense, and I talked about this yesterday. If you had a chance to jump in on my impromptu ShytenHole special that we did for HSRPM yesterday on the YouTube channel, and you can go and watch it as we talked about it, and especially in the first episode of it, there are 2. The idea that he pushed back his response to the report coming out that he said Haiti was a garbage country. Was that he said, never said anything derogatory about Haitians other than Haiti is obviously a very poor and troubled country. Okay, that's an admission. He's saying they're not S-hole people, they just live in an S-hole country. That's his argument there. He said, never said take them out, which has been refuted by not just Dems, but also Republicans who were in the meeting and people who heard directly from Republicans who were in the meeting. I have a wonderful relationship with Haitians based on what? The fact that you think that they all have AIDS, and you shut down your HIV/AIDS panel in totality a week ago? Is that what part of it? Okay. Probably should record future meetings. Unfortunately, no trust. Okay, first of all, that's the first thing he's ever said that I 100% agree with. Donald Trump, listen to me. Donald Trump should record all of his meetings. I agree. I think he should. I insist. But the idea that he goes, never said anything derogatory about Haitians other than that Haiti is obviously a very poor and troubled country. Okay, he didn't say. No one said he brought up that Haiti is a very poor and troubled country. I remember when Tom Cotton is not saying, the president said that, sadly, Haiti is a poor and troubled country. No, Tom Cotton said, I don't remember him specifically using the word S-hole and Haiti in the same sentence in that exact order. And specifically, I didn't hear him say that. But then I was across the room using my own epithets. So the idea that Tom Cotton is coming to character defense of Donald Trump is an absurdity. But what is reported that he said is, why are we having all these people from S-hole countries come here? And then he said, discussing Haitians specifically, Trump said, why do we need more Haitians? Take them out. Now, Jake Tapper reported yesterday that when Trump said take them out, he meant take them out of the deal, not take all Haitians out of the country. Which is an important distinction if you're being factual, but also points to the fact that Trump has a racist reaction to Haitians. Let's just be abundantly clear. Okay. And then Dick Durbin came out and pushed back on him. We have, I think, the audio of Dick Durbin's pushback, and we've censored it, I think, under the Lady B standards of radio etiquette. Have we not, Lady B? We have. Yes, we did. Yes. So let's play Senator Dick Durbin, who was in that meeting with Lindsey Graham and some of his own staff members, and responding to Donald Trump saying, "I never said this, and it was made up by Dems."
As Senator Graham made his presentation, the president interrupted him several times with questions, and in the course of his comments, said things which were hate-filled, vile, and racist. He used those words advisedly. I understand how powerful they are, but I cannot believe that in the history of the White House, in that Oval Office, any president has ever spoken the words that I personally heard our president speak yesterday. You've seen the comments in the press. I have not read one of them that's inaccurate. To no surprise, the president started tweeting this morning denying that he used those words. It is not true. He said these hate-filled things, and he said them repeatedly. When the question was raised about Haitians, for example, we have a group that have temporary protected status in the United States because they were the victims of crises and disasters and political upheaval. The largest group is El Salvadoran, the second is Honduran, and the third is Haitian. And when I mentioned that fact to him, he said, Haitians, do we need more Haitians? And then he went on and we started to describe the immigration from Africa that was being protected in this bipartisan measure. That's when he used these vile and vulgar comments, calling the nations they come from the exact word used by the president, not just once, but repeatedly. That was the nature of this conversation.
Yeah. So let's understand that you have Dick Durbin going on record and saying, I was there, saw what he said directly. Now, the interesting thing is Jake Tapper does push back that Trump did not refer to Haiti as an S-hole country. Specifically, these are two separate conversations. He referred to all the countries on the continent of Africa as S-hole countries, and simply said, in line with his previous statement that all Haitians have AIDS, get them out. Why do we need any more Haitians? Effectively building on the principled, position that he has that America First means no AIDSy people. No Haitians because they all have AIDS. That's his sort of 1990s view of of both disease, culture, and circumstance in the world, and it's amazing. So, in terms of the idea that his pushback was, I never said that about Haiti, is a confirmation that he did say it about all of the countries in Africa. Every single one of them. Many of whom are our partners. Many of whom allow us to have military bases in them. Many of whom provide our... we have not only financial and cultural exchanges with, but we are in direct competition with the Chinese over everything from mineral rights and exports and trade. We basically handed over the favoring of Chinese business and Chinese interests over the United States interests. And say what you will about, America's history of colonialism and America's history of exploitation, and certainly American corporate exploitation and military adventurism. When, at least in current times, it is incredibly difficult for the American government to come in and just kind of steamroll entire countries. It is not at all difficult for China to do that. And we basically handed those countries to them with these comments this week. So, ultimately, again, this is big brain rollout week. This is them, trying to impress the world with how on point the president is to push back against Michael Wolff's book, who says that everybody in the Trump White House thinks he's a fool. And what did he do? In the very first meeting, proved himself to be a fool. In his first tweets of the week about policy, proved himself to be a fool, literally contradicting his own policy. And then General Kelly had to take over Trump's Twitter feed to rebut what Trump had said about a piece of policy. By the way, and in between those tweets, Paul Ryan had called Donald Trump and expressed dismay and concern that the president was going against a policy that he previously supported. We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Let's see. I'm scrolling back through. Everybody, try to keep your chatting within the bounds of comfortable discourse. Keep the expletives to a minimum. All of you folks have finally inspired me to get a flu shot. Oh, get better, Hal? What do you mean, TLK Knitting? I'm not currently ill. It does light up. It is lit up. Baby, if you've ever wondered. Oh, and Katie Couric's comments about Matt Lauer leave a lot to be desired. What are expletives? Swear words. Name calling. Words meant with ill intent. Ship high in transit. Yeah. Whole countries. Were you in a Steel Panther music video? Yeah, I was. Expletives are words where the sun don't shine. That's right. I house the Johnny Fever of people who entertain people with a fever. That's right. Booger. Right. If I came on here and said I like Trump, feel free to kick my ass. No, I mean, I don't have a problem with people talking about, that they support the president or whatever. But if you're just going to, spout bumper stickers, that's another thing. Booger just gave you a coughing fit. Well, that was the word that Johnny Fever got kicked off the air for saying, remember? What? Honestly, and you guys are on him so fast, I don't know what Lonnie is saying, so I can't, judge for myself whether he's being booted for just being a jerk or booted for being, intentionally provocative or whatever. Oh, and until Elizabeth Moss leaves Scientology, I don't want to hear from her about Me Too and Time's Up. I think, Carrie, I think that's abundantly unfair, in the same way that everybody who is against pedophilia should leave the Catholic Church. I don't think that's a fair assessment. Oh, he said F you. Okay, well, all right, yeah. I don't doubt it. I trust your guys' judgment. I just didn't get a chance to see. So, yeah. Yeah, now you do, Lonnie. Just because he's, I don't buy it. There you go. I'm putting you in a timeout again, just because he's. Lonnie's banned in Boston. I just did that as a joke, Lonnie. 300 seconds, you're back in. Come on, everyone has some fringe cult they're a member of. It's just one is more organized than another. We're fast, Al. Keep up. I'm trying. But yeah, there is a, people dealing with the fact that their boss or a coworker, why Elizabeth has been asked multiple times to address the torture happening in Scientology, which is a cult. She refuses to comment. Maybe she doesn't agree that it's torture, and maybe she doesn't agree that that's part of it. I can't know, and neither can you. And the Catholic Church had the Inquisition, and yet there's still millions of Catholics who are decent people in the world. I get it, and I'm not a fan of either necessarily as an organization, but I'm saying that it's a double standard. Watch Leah Remini's show. I've seen Leah Remini's show. But, everybody who leaves the Christian church isn't, on the same page as some Christians too. And some of them leave with good reason.
30 seconds.
Okay. I'm hooked on Leah Remini's show. I think to see Charles. Oh, now we're on recommending shows. I recommend Luther, the Idris Elba show. It's on Netflix. You can watch it.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
You puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
So under the we'll grab another call in just a second, but I want to say that under the veil of Super Brain Week, going completely awry, and the president ending Superbrain Week effectively this morning by yelling "America first" in all caps on his Twitter feed. I guess representative of regarding nothing, just kind of yeah, baby. Must have been watching Stuart Varney. And yeah, America first. The story comes out that first of all, Steve Bannon, quoted in the book, is ditched by the Mercers. Everybody's turning on him. All of a sudden, news report comes out that and this relates, by the way, to the porn star story that came out yesterday in the Wall Street Journal that was actually floated last year. ABC was apparently going to be interviewing a porn star named Stormy Daniels about her affair with Donald Trump that went on for a few months. Where they tried to bring in other porn stars, and they, and by the way, 3 months after Barron was born. Let's be abundantly clear. I have no issue with people's consensual sexual escapades. In all honesty, if that's your thing. But if we're supposed to trust you about your decisions and whatever, and you're cheating on your wife 3 months after your child is born, in provocative, arguably paid for threesomes with porn stars, it's it might be a character question if you want to be president. She was paid to keep quiet, $130,000. Apparently, one of her friends, she tried to loop her in on the party, and didn't want to go because her response was, to paraphrase, "Ew." But there was an element of Michael Wolff's book where he's quoting Steve Bannon as saying, "Yeah, his lawyer got him out of all these issues with women. What do we have, like 100?" And I think we heard about 12 or something. And these were the women apparently who wouldn't take a paycheck to go away. So these are all basically the effect is most of the non-consensual stuff that he's done started to come out. Maybe some of it didn't. And then a lot of consensual but problematic issues, like curiously disconcerting sexual escapades, especially if you're courting the evangelical vote, let's just say. Not problematic, but contradictory to the evangelical viewpoint. Started to come out, and Bannon says, yeah, his lawyer just took care of them. Wow. And so Bannon, after the Wolff book comes out, loses his position at Breitbart, loses the White House. He starts being called Sloppy Steve, not just by the president, but by all the president's supporters. And then, of course, he loses the Mercer family's, financial support. So where is Steve Bannon going to make money now? Because the left isn't going to accept him. He's not going to be a pundit on MSNBC anytime soon. They don't want to have to fumigate the building. And the right isn't going to take him back in any measurable financial way right now. He doesn't have he doesn't have an in at any of those that will financially benefit him. So where's the money going to come from? I think the chances are very high that he is going to take Michael Wolff's path. That in cooperating with Mueller, he will take a deal to protect himself if indeed there is anything that is legally an issue for him. Perhaps not. Perhaps he can literally just leverage his info and cooperate, and then release a book on the whole thing. And my personal belief is it would dwarf what Wolff's book makes. It would literally dwarf because a tell-all book by Steve Bannon for all the people on the right who wouldn't buy Wolff's book, they'll all buy Steve Bannon's book. All the ones who are on the edge of dumping Donald Trump. Every Democrat will find a way to read it, even if it's even if it means putting money in his pocket. I genuinely think that's the way this goes. And it's going to be an interesting 3 months. And Trump did not do himself any favors by immediately jumping on Sloppy Steve and sort of dismissing him. Let's take another caller before we get to this break, Lady B, if we can. Who do we have?
Kirk from California.
Great. Hey, Kirk, welcome.
Hey, Hal, how you doing, man?
I'm
Happy
good.
Saturday to you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good. Well, you mentioned Kevin McCarthy
right.
About 30 minutes ago, and he's been on my mind lately because when he did what he did during that meeting with Diane, he called her Sarah Feinstein. I thought, Senator Feinstein.
Yeah.
I really took umbrage to that because all he was trying to do is muddy the waters. There's no reason why you can't have a clean DACA vote to begin with.
Totally.
For him to just jump in there and say, hey, wait, we got to make sure the security, we don't be back in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to make this wall. They're trying to always insert that and make that a poison pill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessary.
I think you're right. I think they're trying to effectively kill DACA by weighing it down with other garbage. And that's because Kevin McCarthy's particular constituency is of the, is of that ilk. This is a big issue for him. Yeah.
Right. And it's funny because the majority of his district, which is Bakersfield, Tulare,
mm-hmm.
You have a very predominant, well, not predominant, but you have a very large Hispanic community. So
mm-hmm.
it's funny how it's like they his constituents don't mind the immigrant workers, but then they don't want to give them benefits for working.
Well,
it's like they want to have the cake and eat it too, because it just reminds me of when former President Bush, when he first started running for president, junior.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people remember, but he got busted for having a undocumented maid.
That's right.
Going into that 1998-99 election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody remember that.
Yeah.
Do you recall that situation?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I do think there are two things that are occurring insofar as those district people that paying more attention to your donors than your actual voters. And knowing that even though a large number of Hispanic people live there, what's their, in that particular district, what's their voting record like? Do you have to worry about them as a block? And if he doesn't think he does, then he just acts the way he's acting, right? If he does think he has to concern himself with that, then that means that there is a conservative vein in some of the Latino population in his area that is in that voting bloc that views themselves as religious conservatives that fall in the into such an anti-abortion side of the voting role, largely because of heavy Catholicism or cultural beliefs, that he can count on them no matter what he does elsewhere to vote because of an abortion issue, and they use that a lot to curtail Latino voters in certain areas as well. And that's not even with redistricting and gerrymandering as a part of where there may be a lot of people in this town, but oddly enough, a lot of them don't vote for that district. Those kind of things. So he may be counting on that part of it. I don't know the demographic breakdown of who actually shows up to vote and what kind of factors they use to intimidate voters or keep people from voting, or the work factor where if the jobs that people are in who are Hispanic in his district, whether those people have the day off to vote or whether those workers they clamp down and say if you leave to go work to vote you're gonna lose your job. That stuff happens still. I don't know that for a fact, but it sounds like if he's got that big of a district with that many Hispanic people in it, it certainly, goes against why he would be against DACA. The other thing is if you have, it's not like all, Mexican American or Latino Americans who have lived here for a long time. It's not like 100% of them are for more immigration. They might see it as competition. There's all kinds of reasons. That in his particular district, that's the way it's psychologically presented. But again, I think it's more of a donor thing than a voter thing.
Oh, well, yeah, you're right on that because I just checked his financials, and he has raised $3 million just in this past 3 months. So
yeah,
it might be cumulative, so it might be the past year, but he's raised over $3 million. So he's definitely, and his biggest donor is Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand that there's a long financial gain that happens between one of the biggest sort of untold stories of the Republican Party's relationship with especially Mexican nationals who come over here on temporary work visas or as farm workers, and people who are moving here permanently, and the tug and pull between the Republican Party on those folks is that it has a lot to do with big agribusiness and their ties to the Republican Party and where that money shuffles around. And anybody who's watched the movie Trading Places knows that frozen concentrated orange juice or pork bellies or corn or wheat futures are a huge factor on Wall Street. And so Goldman Sachs has a huge stake in big agribusiness and how and keeping those costs down and those profits high to keep the stocks and the dividends flowing specifically. This is it's part of that narrative that these are the jobs Americans don't want to do. That storyline. So I appreciate the call. We got to take a break. We're right up against it. I appreciate the call. Really well spotted. We'll be back. The Wall Street Journal interview is just amazing. It may surprise everyone. I'm not surprised at all, Rocky Mountain Mike, that you were working on a shithole song. You have a bleep button, yeah. What's up? Can't stop lying. Can't we? And by the way, the two and thank you TLK Knitting and Billy, both of you, really appreciate the super chat. Corn subsidies are why the unhealthy sweetener high fructose corn syrup is in almost everything. I agree. Sugar is bad, but sugar is like throwing a bullet, while HSCs is like shooting a bullet from a gun. Right. How Louise. Right. How good song going to break. Oh, my daughter is in that video from the show Smash. Oh, wow. That's great. The Trump prostitute stories make me want to puke, but that's okay. That's only because I'm looking at it from the viewpoint of a prostitute. I know. I pity these poor women. Oh, my God. You got to pay your bills, but shoo. That's tough, man. Thank you, Sandra. That's really great. Thank you so much. Yes, and happy MLK weekend. Hal, when you do HSRPMs during the week, do you tweet those out? I completely missed the last one. I did. I tweeted it out about an hour before. I didn't do a full push on it because it was my first time doing it outside of the circumstance. So outside, outside of our normal schedule. But I'm trying to do more of those. Okay, thank you. So I will. I didn't know I was going to be able to do it until about an hour before. And then I had tech issues with Wirecast. I don't know what the heck happened with it. Don't get me started.
Now back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 773-763-9278.
Welcome back. I think, do we have another caller, Lady B? Or are we okay for a minute?
Yeah, we do have
great.
Robert from Florida.
Excellent. Okay, great. Robert, welcome to the show.
Hello, Al. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
Good. The other day, late at night, breaking story, a porn star is paid $130,000 by the lawyer of Trump to stay quiet 1 week before the election. Right?
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. Okay, whatever you think of porn stars, it's a living. Whatever they do, they do. I'm not judgmental.
Right.
But they're stupid, and for a reason. She could have held out for a lot more than $130,000. Come on.
Oh.
And my bigger question is, what does Melania have to say? Now, this is 1 year into their marriage. This is like the honeymoon period, no?
Yeah, this is 3 months after Barron is born.
Oh, Madone. I mean, what's going on here?
I know.
Where's the microphone in her face to ask her, say, hey, how is it? Or was this for you? Was this a gift? Was this Operation Research? Or what do they call that?
Opposition Research? Yeah. Well, I don't think she's been outside, and I don't think, not that I know of, I'd have to check the press pool, but I don't think she's been outside the building since this story broke.
And golf club driveway.
Oh, right, yeah, we're gonna have a Tiger Woods moment on the it'd be very confusing for Secret Service. I don't know quite,
Exactly. If you're Secret Service, what do you do? It's like, oh, they're husband and wife, and he kind of deserves it. Well, I'm gonna go have coffee. What about you?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta go. My wife, my chops.
I understand. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it. That's one of the issues with the storyline. A lot of as comedians and artists and other people, and certainly people who are what I would argue is sex positive, for example, we don't end up having a problem with swear words in general or porn stars in general, or even the argument that prostitution should be legal or any of that stuff. It falls to why and when and what direction you are saying or believing these things. And in the case of Donald Trump, the idea that somehow this is a big effing deal about healthcare, and that all of the countries in Africa are garbage, is and by the way, everybody on cable news could have used the word garbage all day yesterday and had the same emotional impact. I'm just saying. We censor the word, but effectively garbage is what he means. That it's what he meant that matters, right? Lady B, I don't know if we have another call. Do we have another call on the line? I think we might.
Yes,
yeah.
We have a couple of calls.
Great.
We have Matt from Chicago.
Oh, great. Okay. Welcome, Matt. How are you?
Hello, good sir. And I just saw Spider-Man 2 for the first time since it came out. I have to tell you, I didn't realize that was you, and you do a great cameo.
Thank you. Yeah, that was all improv. And the only time that Toby was in the suit the entire time, because they had a stunt person half the time, and sometimes it's CG, but that was Toby the whole time, and we improvised, and he was terrific. And Sam Raimi's still my favorite director. So there you go. And scene. There you go. Now continue.
Sorry. I just want to know. I think you would have made a great Peter Parker in another franchise.
I agree. When he's a grown man, which he is in some. Right.
You look like you're 30, Hal. Stop that. But,
All right.
Mind you, I haven't seen you with the new haircut, so I can't tell you. Anywho, back to Trump. Why are people surprised that he said these things? And of course he said them. No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. Of course you did.
Right.
And if you didn't say it during this meeting, you said it during one of the countless other meetings and on the Apprentice tapes and all the other info that we have about you. This is who you are, sir.
That's right.
Whether you like it or not, this is who you are. So just embrace it and get it over with. There are some days that I wish that we could pull a Batman Forever, Batman Returns on him, and just have him start speaking and then pipe in a speech that just totally demolishes everybody's faith in him halfway through the speech, and nobody can tell the difference, and then we can throw tomatoes at him, and it'll be a joyous occasion. Because he is an awful human being.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be genius at one of his big rallies if somebody just clicked the mic over to just the greatest hits of all the awful things he's said over the years. The problem is at his rallies, about 60% of the people there wouldn't be able to discern it from what he regularly says from the podium at his rallies. And there was a lot of speak about the this week, in the last few days, especially about how this is a alpha male word that he used, and it plays up this idea that he's that he's an alpha male and he's strong and he's just saying what people are really thinking. Tucker Carlson said this is just what people say when they're sitting at a bar talking. I'm like, yeah, but those people don't define policy for the entire country. That's yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Not
at
all.
Please go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, go ahead. Sorry. There you go.
I was just going to say, Hal, I don't normally drink. I don't drink, but normally if I go to a bar with a friend, the very last thing that I talk about is, God, I just want to be a racist right now. So I'm going to sit here and say all these things.
Yeah, it's like it's the Mel Gibson thing. It was I'm not a racist. The alcohol made me racist. That defense, the fact that it has any legs whatsoever in modern society is ridiculous because it doesn't. You're not going to start saying stuff you don't believe necessarily when you're drunk. You're going to say the stuff you haven't been saying that you do believe, and that's effectively what Tucker Carlson wants of the presidency. Tucker Carlson wants racism to finally have the bully pulpit. That's his goal. That's his desire in the world. That all the worst impulses of the most xenophobic and racist human beings finally get their day in court. And Donald Trump is their man. And you can't argue with the fact that he absolutely represents that class of people. The problem that they have, and I think that it is increasingly becoming clear, is that group is not as big as they thought it was. They are loud, they are trollish, they are all over social media, but by the numbers, they are dwarfed by the other human beings in this country who are disgusted by this kind of behavior and would like a functioning government. Thank you very much. So you're right.
Remember when he was on MSNBC?
On Morning Joe, or what do you mean? Which time?
No. Like when Tucker had his own MSNBC show.
Yes.
And he seemed remotely sane. What happened to that Tucker Carlson?
He wasn't
really?
He was being paid to be remotely sane. Now he's being paid to be himself. These people are, this is why they like Donald Trump, because, it has been said many times that Donald Trump is a completely transactional person. Your worth in your world is based on what he thinks he can get from you. And Tucker Carlson likes Donald Trump because Tucker Carlson is like Donald Trump. He is of the same ilk. He is completely transactional in the same way that Glenn Beck was borderline a liberal when he was on CNN. And then, there was just more money in being a bigot. And then when the bigot money started to dry out or spread too thin, he got into the CBN market, basically. Faux Christianity, layered over a line of right-wing politics. That's what the Blaze is. And that's what the Christian broadcast, that's what Pat Robertson is. Everybody's jockeying for Pat Robertson's check after he kicks. And right now, the two front runners are effectively Alex Jones and Glenn Beck. And they are viewing this as a ladder for a very specific group of human beings, the well-to-do white racists who will pay to fund these kind of things, and the poor ones who will send their money in because Jesus told them to, and have for years been completely, shuck and jived by the, right-wing leaning pastors, basically operating a faux Christian ministry as a game of three-card Monte. We got to take a break. Appreciate the call. We'll be back right after this. More of the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio. And some of the president's interview with the Wall Street Journal, the cap on the president is a genius week. Man. So we'll get to the dreamer's brain fart. Okay. I love Donald. Donald Davenport. All right. I think you meant hi, Donald Davenport. Slow down. You can type. It's okay. Wow, you changed. I have a mustache right now, like a goatee. Like, it's not a huge deal. Main output is about 9 dB too low. Good to know. Thank you. I will hopefully fix that. Yeah. So, maybe I will. Hard to say. Audio mixer.
30 seconds.
Okay.
And you have one more caller, Buddy from Aurora.
Okay. Hopefully, drop that up one.
Now back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 773-763-9278.
Welcome back to the show. So the president gave this really bizarre, to tip off Infrabrain Week. The president started having a conversation with the Wall Street Journal. Rupert Murdoch owns the paper. They're obviously more friendly to him than any other paper. But in a couple of instances, he gets kind of trapped by reporters who seem to be... and this, by the way, I'm not a big fan of that hot mics are accidental. Throughout history, occasionally there is a hot mic that is on and you don't know. But quite frankly, a lot of times I think politicians know there is a hot mic. They set up a hot mic situation. They say, especially if it's something that's favorable to them that's caught on a hot mic or makes them seem tougher, smarter, more interesting, whatever. That is clearly an issue, where they involved themselves in the process of that hot mic, right? So, and the same goes for impromptu interviews. Wow, I never saw this interview coming. This guy just kind of blindsided me. And sometimes, especially in the celebrity world, you'll find that people get blindsided by an interview that they set up 3 weeks before through their agent, through one of these like celebrity outlets and that kind of thing. Like it's or their best friend calls and says they're going to a party where they didn't want to be filmed, and then they get filmed, and it turns out they split the money. Like it's there's a lot to the prep that goes into a lot of these things. So I'm not buying 100% that the president wasn't ready or wasn't aware that one of Rupert Murdoch's newspapers was going to interview him in the White House, and it caught him off guard, and he wasn't quite sure what he was going to talk about, and he just impromptu spouted off a lot of smart stuff. I think Gary Cohn was standing with him during part of it. There's a wonderful exchange where they're talking about some of these deals, and Mr. Trump says is that they're going to build them here. Talking about factories, they're going to build other things here too. I think Foxconn doing the iPhone is what he meant specifically. We need people, so we have to be a little bit flexible. I don't want to be so. I've had another pledge that I'm going to move companies back into this country. I don't want to make it so tough they can't come back in. Would you say that's a correct statement, Gary? We have to have people. And Gary Cohn says, yeah. That's the whole exchange. And then Wall Street Journal says, when you say you have to have people, clearly there's 800,000 dreamers, but there's also a large group of people who are currently in the country, and they're going to go, who are basically making the point that they're here without documentation or illegally. Those people could work at these factories. Why would you blah, blah, blah. Okay. So why would you bring basically Chinese workers into the United States to work at a factory that just happens to be planted here when you have all these Hispanic people and Latino people and Mexican people and people from other countries who need work who are already here? Why wouldn't you just let them authorize them to stay in the country? If you're going to authorize people from another country to go, the idea is that they're going to go back. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Here's what Trump says. When you have clearly there's 800,000 dreamers, but there's also a large group of people who are currently in the country. And then Trump goes, that's a different discussion. And the Wall Street Journal said, so you said on Tuesday, that's comprehensive. Well, if we could do that, that's fine. I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know that that's going to be possible. There's a big difference. First of all, there's a big difference between DACA and dreamers. Okay. Dreamers are different. And I want American kids to be dreamers also, by the way. I want American kids to be dreamers also. He doesn't understand that dreamers is the shorthand for DACA recipients. There's a big difference between DACA and dreamers. And a lot of times when I was with certain Democrats, they kept using the word dreamer. And I said, please use the word DACA. It's a totally different word. And the Wall Street Journal says, sure. And Trump goes, okay, people think they're interchangeable, but they're not. So I think there's a very good chance of making a deal on DACA. I would like to be able to do it. I think that the people that are Trump supporters agree with me on it. I would never do it without a wall. The wall is the wall. It's the same wall we've always talked about. It's, wherever we need. We don't need it where you have mountains. You don't need it where we have rivers and, vicious rivers. So we have sort of natural barriers. Wall Street Journal, barriers. Yeah. And obviously, we never intended, inaudible, Wall Street Journal, just to be clear, because I don't want to have any misunderstanding. Yeah, let's be really clear. I'd like to, because I love the Wall Street Journal, and I hope that you guys are clear, okay? Wall Street Journal, for sure. When on Tuesday you said that you supported the idea of signing comprehensive immigration reform. No, I supported the idea of discussing it. Okay, says the Wall Street Journal. And maybe it's possible to get it. That's what I do. I make deals. Despite what you may have read by these people that, don't know me, that were never interviewed to me, White House official. But first we have to crosstalk. The man with the 3-hour interview, he spent 3 hours. The man who said he spent 3 hours in the Oval Office, who I never met once in the White House. Okay, despite all these characters there's something you can talk about is the libel laws, because they're going to increase our libel. We're going to increase our libel laws so that when people make misstatements like yourselves, but when people make misstatements, somebody has some, recourse. Do you have a plan for that, Mr. President? Yeah, I do. I would say, I don't know that I'll be able to get it through, but I think that when somebody makes false statements and libelous statements, whether it's in a book or a newspaper or anything, when they have phony sources, when the sources don't exist, yeah, I think they should have a liability. Do you think Congress needs to make new libel laws? I don't know if Congress has the guts to do that. By the way, Congress is headed by the Republicans right now. Republicans are in charge. All right. In case he forgot. But do you want them to? I would like to see that. Yeah, I would like to be able to, look, nobody gets more false press than I do. Nobody comes close in the history of this country, that nobody's gotten more false press, and you all guys know it. Why do you think that is? They dislike me. The liberal media dislikes me. I mean, I watch people. I was always the best at what I did. I went to Wharton School of Finance, did well. I went out. I started in a Brooklyn office with my father. I became one of the most successful real estate developers. one of the most successful business people, created maybe the greatest brand. Then I go into, in addition, part-time, like 5% a week. I open up a television show. As you know, The Apprentice on many evenings was the #1 show on television. Tremendous success. Went on for over 12 years. Tremendous success. Then when they wanted me to sign for another 3 years, I said, no, I can't do that. That's one of the reasons NBC hates me so much. NBC hates me so much, they were desperate for me to sign 3 more years. This is amazing, by the way. This started out as a conversation about a plant in Wisconsin maybe making iPhones. We're 3 questions past that. Mr. President, you made reference to the book Steve Bannon so I was successful. I was always the best athlete. People don't know that, but I was successful at everything I ever did. And then I run for president. First time, not 3 times, not 6 times. I run for president. First time, lo and behold, I win. Did Obama or Clinton run before they ran and won? I don't think so. I ran for president, and lo and behold, I win. And then people say, oh, he is a smart person. Is he a smart person? I'm smarter than all of them put together, but they can't admit it. They've had a bad year. You mentioned the book. Steve Bannon had somebody important was somebody important to your campaign, worked in the White House, was on the National Security Council for a while. Do you feel betrayed by him? Yes, I do. I feel betrayed because you're not supposed to do that. But I have many people that work for me who were far more important than Steve right there. Yes, says the Wall Street Journal. And others, I mean, I could take you around to the back and I could show you many people. If you don't, and in some of them, you wouldn't know their names. So I always liked Steve, but Steve became very ineffective because he was such a lightning rod. And Steve, in the end, I fired Steve. Is that relationship permanently broken between you and Steve? You never know. You know, I don't know what the word permanent means, okay? I never know what the word permanent means. Well, we'll see what happens. This is starting to sound like kids say the darndest things. This is amazing. What do you? Steve's greatest asset was he able to convince a corrupt media that he was responsible for my win. Hope, just out of curiosity, you were here from day one. What do you think Steve in percentage had to do with my victory? I mean, he was there. Corey had more to do with it. Wall Street Journal. Yes. So he asked Hope Hicks, who's standing right there. Do you think Steve had a lot to do with it? She doesn't answer. Yes. David had more to do with it. Many people. I mean, there are many people. It's a little before Sarah's time. If you were here, you would have had more to do with it. No, I talked to Steve very little. I didn't know Steve well. Believe it or not, they made it sound like, I mean, the guy wrote that book about Steve. Yes. Don't forget, I'd vanquished 17 governors. I mean, this is amazing. This guy, he just goes on and on. He's still not getting to any of the questions that they're actually asking. What seemed, and this is Wall Street Journal, what seemed to be the most egregious thing about Steve that Steve said was that one of your was about your son in the Russian meetings. What he said about my son is horrible. My son had a brief meeting based on the fact that he thought whatever he thought. And somebody said bad stuff on an opponent. I don't know, one politician in Washington. If you're a politician, somebody called up and they have information on your opponent that might be negative. I'm not sure, but I don't think there's one politician in all of Washington that would not take that meeting. Number one. Number two, after the meeting was over, nothing happened. In other words, it was like, okay, let's meet again in a month. Let's plan out that nothing happens. It was a dead meeting. Did you ever hear about the meeting during the campaign? No, never did. Never heard about it. Excuse me, we have about, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about how the White House starts to try to broom him from digging his own grave in this interview. And again, this interview is during the week where the White House is trying to present a stable, genius view of the president after Michael Wolff's book points out that everyone in the White House thinks Donald Trump is a dope. We'll be back. Jude, the story is that this is from one of the inside White House accounts. They said Trump is trying to control the narrative on this stuff, coming out about his health, and he wants to change all the details. And one of the things was he wants his weight brought down. He was wanting to say he weighs 199 pounds, and his staff talked him out of it because it was completely unbelievable. What a transcript really shows what a scatterbrain he is. Twitch distracted me. Understood. Trump is definitely more idiot than savant. Trump is pushing 280 easy. I agree. Dude's 6'2", and he's rotund. It is absolutely... He is an unhealthy weight. There is no question. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's real quick. I weigh 165 pounds, and I am 5'9". That's what my abdomen looks like at 5'9", weighing 30 pounds less than Donald Trump apparently wants to say he weighs. Apparently, Donald Trump at 6'3", or 6'2", is only 30 pounds heavier than I am. And it's all muscle, and it's bulletproof.
25 seconds.
Okay.
23. That was hilarious.
Thank you. It's true, though. I mean, it's absurd. Do we have callers, by the way, real quick, Lady B?
Yes, one more.
Okay, great. We'll take that.
Buddy.
Okay, cool.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's now time for the happy ending.
Welcome back. So, by the way, Hawaii, if you know anybody in Hawaii, false alarm this morning. Apparently, there was an emergency alert that said ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. Yeah, there's no inbound ballistic missile. Just letting you know, into Hawaii. That we're aware of in any way. So if you're in Hawaii, you can come out now. Yeah. So, all right. So we have one more caller, I think, Lady B. Who do we have?
We have Buddy from Aurora.
Excellent. Hey, Buddy.
Hey, Hal. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good. Go ahead.
I just wanted to see if I was the only one thinking this, but the other day when our dear leader was talking about Dianne Feinstein, he referred to her as sneaky.
Yes.
And I just felt like that was a big dog whistle as to the fact that she's Jewish. Like, he may as well have just put her name in 3 parentheses like they do on
Stormfront or what? Yeah, right.
Thank you, Stormfront. It kind of seemed to me like the same kind of thing like Jay Mariotti used to do in the Sun-Times when he referred to Jerry Reinsdorf as cheap. It seemed like one of those. It seems to me like it's pretty obvious, but she being a woman almost seems like, well, obviously he's disparaging her and being sexist, and it almost seems to me like there's a stronger anti-Semitic.
It's possible. I would say my thing is, this is the conundrum we find ourselves in with this president, is that he holds so many personal grudges and bigotries that it is hard to discern which one is getting priority in any particular description. I would go so far as to say that he refers to her as sneaky because it is the derogatory negative version of clever, and he wouldn't allow a woman to be viewed as clever. So, and certainly not.
It's hard to keep up with him, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is bizarre. But I appreciate the call. I think there is I mean,
Thanks, Al. Have a great weekend.
you too. I think the anti-Semitism claims are confused and compounded at the same time by Jared and Ivanka and their child, and this idea that how useful, how transactional he is, you are with Donald Trump is how valuable you are to him. So he may view, Jews as having a function, and outside that function, they have no worth, which is, I would argue, anti-Semitism. The idea that Jews are good with money, but if it's a Jew that's not good with money, then I don't have any use for it. Then that's the problem with Jews. That would be arguably the internal thought process gibberish of that would come out from that, and it that idea that he wants guys, quote, short guys in yarmulkes counting his money, and black people doing it is embarrassing. Is indicative of that. I would argue that it is equally as anti-Semitic to think that take the sort of Nazi line and think Jews are evil in general, and it is equally anti-Semitic on many fronts to say that they only have one purpose, based on your own bigoted idea of what they what skills you think certain groups of people are good at. I mean, that's a mess. Okay, so Trump, this is kind of our happy ending or whatever, because this made me laugh out loud. This whole Wall Street Journal article. And by the way, capping off Super Brain Week, Tuesday we will have the president's physical results. We'll talk about them on next week's show. We might even have a special, Superman edition of the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, on Tuesday, just on the YouTube channel if you want to join us there. But the best part of this week has been that in the moment they're trying to present him as the most stable and intelligent and focused human being, Ann Coulter's horror at his ping pong brain bouncing back and forth from whatever racket just whacked it is. The entirety of this week is hilarious, but her reaction to it is very telling of people on the right and why he's been pushing back. I think we're going to pay for the wall. The wall's going to happen, and Mexico's going to pay for it through NAFTA or something. I don't know. We'll work it out. That's why he thinks we're going to renegotiate NAFTA. Means we'll take NAFTA as it is, and you'll pay for the wall. That's what he means. Okay, so he's talking about the Russian probe, and this is getting near the end of the interview. They say, well, Mueller's team is looking into other areas, right? Like obstruction of justice. Well, let me. So they make up a crime, and the crime doesn't exist, and then they say obstruction. And how could there be obstruction on firing Comey when the man who's in charge of it wrote a letter that was far stronger than anything I would have written? He was in charge. Deputy Rosenstein, he wrote a letter that's far stronger than even what I say. And here's another thing. A friend of mine brought this up the other day. Comey has proven to be a liar and a leaker. Proven. He tries to act like a choir boy. What he did with Hillary Clinton is outrageous. He saved her life because of all those charges. I call it Comey 1, 2, 3. All of those charges, and Comey 1, she was guilty of. She would have been taken out of the campaign and been on trial. He didn't do that. He saved her life. But here's the way you look at it. Comey, everybody hated Comey. And Comey, by the way, the FBI, say what you want, go back and look at the day around Hillary. The FBI was in turmoil. Everybody hated Comey. The Democrats wanted him fired. Everybody wanted him out. You look at what Schumer said about him. Look what everybody said. As soon as I fired him, they say, oh, he's wonderful. He's wonderful. How could you do that? So you have no crime that was created. You have a phony crime. And then you talk about obstruction. How can they talk about obstruction when I was the most open person in history in terms of there's never been a paper we didn't give them. There's never been a question we didn't answer. Now, I could have done it differently. I know I've been, pretty successful in the courts over the years. I've been successful in the person. You can check USA Today said he does great in the courts. Okay. And somebody interrupts. Sorry to interrupt. You're late for your meeting. Now, no, I know. Finish this thought. Then I'd love to get an infrastructure tax question before you go. I know that was sort of the premise of this meeting. So the White House set up a thing for him to talk about infrastructure and talk about the tax bill. And this whole bill has been about this rambling nonsense about how amazing he is. Like glory days. Okay, Trump. They don't want to talk about, he's blowing her off. They don't talk about that. They don't want to talk about the biggest tax bill. But we have about 2 minutes left, so finish. Yeah? Okay, all right. We'll do as much as we can. So just to finish, everybody wanted Comey fired. She's like, can you just finish on infrastructure? He's like, yeah, give me 1 second. So everybody wanted Comey fired. And then when I fired, I never forget. When I fired, all these people had just said, you got to fire Comey. They said, oh, he just fired Comey. Well, now they're on the other side. They're Democrats, so all of a sudden they change. All you have to do is look, seriously, take a look at all these people. They wanted him fired, and the FBI was a mess. When he announced Hillary's fiasco, she was guilty, 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 and then they did the interview with no tape recorder, no swearing in, with no this, no that. You know the story. But take a look at all these people became critics of my firing. They wanted him fired. And then him fired until he said he's fired. But the deputy, Rosenstein, who's in charge, he wrote a letter that was possibly or probably stronger than anything I would have written or did write. So you're saying there was no obstruction. If Mueller asks you to come and talk about it, would you? Of course there was no obstruction. Excuse me. Of course there was no obstruction. But there was no crime. So now they're saying, could there be? Now I haven't heard that they're looking at obstruct. I don't know that they're looking at obstruction. The guy just said they're looking at obstruction like 4 sentences ago. The other thing is everybody wanted Comey fired. And the other thing, just a few, Comey was proven to be a leaker and a liar. If anything, it's literally just reiterating this stuff over again. And then the Wall Street Journal says something, infrastructure, goes, but just so you understand, and the Wall Street Journal goes, oh, sorry, the Deputy Attorney General, who's in charge of this case, wanted, all you have to do is look at the letter. So that there's no obstruction there. How about welfare and the tax question real quick before we wrap it up? Yeah, go ahead. Well, let's finish on, you really have, somebody goes, yeah, let's finish on that. You really have to go to Roosevelt Room. People are waiting for you, so go ahead. I do? Yes, you do. Okay, get me a list of those people. Yes, sir. I'll see the level of it. Laughter. I do enjoy this, actually. Well, this is fun. Thank you for taking time. I do ask you this. Treat me fairly. We always do. Well, do it. Now, we'll do it every month. We'll do one of these because I do respect and I love the Wall Street Journal, Gerard Baker. I've always called him the most I always call him the most elegant debate. I thought it was the best debate because I like the one good from my standpoint. It's unbelievable. If this is what Mueller has to look forward to, Trump should just check himself into jail right now. This is the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio. Signing off on Intelligence Week at the White House. Stable Genius Week has come to a close with no evidence to support the president's assertion that he is either of those things. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Lady B. Thanks to all our callers, and thanks everybody in the super chat today. You guys were lovely. Appreciate it. We're going to continue on House Sparks TV with a post show. Join us if you want. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much, Lady B. You're wonderful. I think we solved our issue today. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. That's okay. You got stuff to do. I understand. Take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so hey, chat room. Good to talk to you. What's happening? This is so... The transcript, let's be abundantly clear. So, let's see, I'm going to create a highlight right now. Welcome to the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide post show. Thanks for tuning in. And this is a show we do after the radio show is over, so we can speak a little more freely without commercial breaks or any of the FCC rules, which really helps this week when you're talking about ShytenHole and the president's remarks about ShytenHole and whatever, the calling every country in Africa garbage. But anyways, I just, we were finishing the show reading the transcript of the Wall Street Journal interview, which if you haven't seen it, the most recent one, it is as stunning and rambling as it is long. This is from yesterday, and reminding people that this is the week that the president was pushing the idea that he is a stable genius in command of the issues, and reads and studies issues. He is functioning at a very high level. He's the smartest person that's ever operated. and pretty much you can scroll through the entire article and just pick a chunk, and it's okay. So the wall came up. Okay. So in the DACA deal, they're talking about $1.6 billion for border security. That would be the wall, which means and the wall now means fencing, drones, and heightened security measures, and reinforcing some of the fence that already exists and maybe extending it a little bit. Not a wall, not ever a wall, not going to be a wall. And so at one point he's talking about what he'd said in the have you seen any? So how's the DACA thing coming? Because the Wall Street Journal says, speaking of being flexible, it sounds as if there's an immigration deal that's been struck among senators on the Hill that's been sent to the White House for approval. And Trump says, getting close. Have you seen anything from the Senate yet? And Trump says, no, but it's getting close. I feel, I have a great feeling for DACA. I think we should be able to do something with DACA. I think it's foolish if we don't. They've been here a long time. They're no longer children. People talk of them as children. I mean, some of them are 41 years old and older. Some are in their teens and late teens. But nevertheless, I think we should do something with DACA, and I think we should do something to help people. It wasn't their fault. Their parents came in. It wasn't their fault. So we're in the process of trying to work something out. I hope we can do it. I don't think it has to take that long. The lottery system is a disaster. We have to get rid of the lottery system. As you know, chain migration is a horrible situation. You've seen the ads. You've seen everything. You know all about the chain. This person on the west side that killed 8 people and badly, you heard me say yesterday, badly wounded, about 12. I mean, people losing arms and legs. Nobody even talks about that. But they say killed 8 and that's it. I mean, you have people, one's walking around without missing legs, and the person was running to stay in shape, and now he's missing 2 legs. Think of it. But this person, who should have never been allowed in this country, came in through the lottery. When they interviewed his neighborhood, they said he was horrible. You'd say good morning to him, and he'd start cursing at you. They didn't want him, so they sent him through the lottery. Congratulations, United States. So the lottery has to end. Chain migration. He brought in, they say, 22 people through the chain. So we have 22 of his relatives. Why? And I honestly think that the Democrats are with us on that. We'll find out. I mean, who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be? Unless it's somebody who didn't love our country, and the Democrats love our country. We have different views, but the Democrats love our country. So, yeah, I think, Michael, we have a good chance to make a deal. We have a wall. We don't have a wall, but we don't have a wall. We're not doing the deal. Do you have a completely funded wall? Would $1.6 billion be enough? And there's crosstalk, and then Trump says, let me tell you something about the wall. So I've always said we have to have a wall. I've also said Mexico is going to pay for it. Sometimes, on occasions I've added, who's going to pay for it? Mexico. Well, they'll pay for it, okay? There are many forms of payment. I could name 10 right now. There are many forms of payment. I didn't say how. Could you give us an example? They can pay for it through, as an example, they can pay for it indirectly through NAFTA, okay? We made a good deal on NAFTA. We make a good deal on NAFTA. Say I'm going to take a small percentage of that money and it's going to go towards the wall. Guess what? Mexico's paying. Now Mexico may not want to make that NAFTA deal, which is okay. Then I'll terminate NAFTA, which I think would frankly be positive for our country. I don't think it's positive for Mexico. I don't think it's positive for the world. I think it's positive for our country because I'd make a much better deal. There's no deal I can make on NAFTA that's as good as if I terminate NAFTA and make a new deal. Okay, but I feel that we have a chance to make a reasonable deal, and that's the way now. On immigration, could you see yourself signing a bill? The other thing, so the wall's never meant to be 2,100 miles long. We have mountains that go far beyond the wall. We have violent rivers that nobody goes near. We have areas, but you don't need a wall where you have natural barriers. That's far greater than any wall you could build, okay? I mean, oh my God. This is supposed to be them. They set up this interview so he could talk about the tax bill. Really? I saw on television that Donald Trump is going to make the wall smaller. No, the wall is identical. The other thing about the wall is we spent a great deal of time with the Border Patrol and the ICE agents, and they know this stuff better than anybody. They're unbelievable. They both endorsed me the only time they've ever endorsed a presidential candidate. Okay. and they endorsed us unanimously. I had meetings with them. They need see-through, so we need to form a fence or window. I said, why you need that makes so much sense. They said because you have to see who's on the other side. If you have this wall, it's thick and solid concrete from the ground to 32 feet high, which is a high wall, much higher than people planned. You got 32 feet up, and you don't know what's over there. You're here. You got the wall. There's some other people here. You don't know who's there. You got a problem. He didn't reiterate his catapult storyline. Oh my God. Okay, so chat room, hi. Sorry, I'm just overwhelmed by this. No collusion, no collusion. Wall's going up, beep, beep. Same old shit, right? How about white men born here are constantly shooting up churches and concerts? Yeah, the lack of news about, they don't want to talk about the white supremacists who are going around trying to kill cops en masse, the mainstream media, the fake news. Why won't they bring up the guy who's planning on shooting up a train who's white and didn't like brown people? Why don't they bring him up? How come that's not in the fake news? The mainstream media will not report. Let's see. U.S. has an overabundance of specialists in medicine versus general practitioners, so there are different problems with taking everyone into account. Canada is definitely doing better than the U.S. Yeah. Infrastructure. You know who's bad on infrastructure? Hillary Clinton. Like, basically, that's his entire thing. Like, tell us about the tax bill. You know who wanted bigger taxes? Hillary Clinton. Well, can you explain to us the discrepancy between a border wall and a border fence? You know who needs a fence? The DNC. So unfair. What they did to Bernie Sanders. They put a fence up. They didn't let him in. 32-foot wall with a 33-foot ladder. That's exactly right. I don't think an author could write dialogue like this. It's absurd. It is what it is. It is like that a grown man is and at a feverish pitch. So again, this is the kind of interview they give him when they give him his Adderall and diet pill smoothie in the morning. And when they don't give it to him, he sits there with his arms crossed. You can tell, by the way, if he's got both his arms tucked like this versus if he's got his hands out on top where he's kind of in his, like they ecstasy dosed him and he's just soothing like a toddler versus the no. That's his, I don't like it. Oh, versus this, what's going on? Get a grip, What did Tom say? America does not need a border wall, but it might need a cage for Trump. We have plenty of prisons, apparently. Apparently, Jared Kushner was doing prison reform this week to make sure that the prison is nice and coofy when they all end up there. They all get, nice, like changing the bedding and the mattresses and all that kind of stuff, making sure there's a 60-inch television and you can get Twitter. And Trump won't know the difference between that and the White House. Way 45 has been talking about a Mexican wall. He knows nothing about infrastructure. Right, Hal, in a suit that's too big for him, just like a kid, right? Yeah, well, they give him an oversized suit with bigger shoulders to make it look like he's more presidential. If you look the way he sits, I'll show you this. So, Donald Trump has uses shoulder pads in his suits to give him more commanding shoulders. If you'll notice, when he frumps forward, you can see his shoulder pads. It's basically costuming, and then it's a size, the jacket. Like the jacket itself is big, but the arms are small. Like the belly is let out like crazy, but the arms are whatever. I would, honest to God, I would love to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. If I could arrange a bunch of investors and buy 666 Fifth Avenue, but it's so overpriced right now. Like, I feel like, you know, he wants $1.6 billion for it. Like, I feel like I should go to Dubai and get Burj, you know, the Sheikh Khalifa who paid for the Burj Khalifa. Like, dude, loan me $1.6 billion. I just want to buy this thing and turn it into like a destination property. It costs like the devil. Like, yeah. Yeah, it either costs you $1.6 billion or one soul. Who you change the sign to burning flames? I don't understand. I would love to have an office on the 13th floor of 666 Fifth Avenue just to worry people. So funny. All right, so I'm going to scroll back through the chat so I can talk to you guys a little bit. And by the way, I want to thank our Super Chat people again real quick in this, you know, the post-show special edition. Thank you, Natalie, and thank you, Carl. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, TLK Knitting. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. I said Billy. Yep. And I love that Natalie did it because she's off for 3 days for MLK Day. And Billy did it for the Hal Sparks / Dianne Feinstein Document Dump Fund. And Sandra said happy MLK Day. So thank you guys so much for super chatting with us at this point. This coming week is going to stack on this insanity. I mean, you have to realize that. And by the way, this is the enjoy this week because it won't be here next weekend. Because after I shoot on Tuesday, most of it gets shaved off, and I'll go back looking like a paramilitary gun rights advocate for a time. Do I miss being on Lab Rats? I love Lab Rats. Oh, thank you, Julie. Look at that. And even in euros, just for me. Oh, that's very sweet. Like I said, we're stacking up for that plane ticket to Germany at this point. Natalie, you got mailed one, so I would check your mail because Carl's came through. And everybody else's did. I know I mailed you one, so it should have arrived with a little note that's you know, that mentions the artist formerly known as Bruce. Have the documents been dumped? Yeah. High and tight. That's right. Yeah. And I appreciate all the super chat from everybody. Like those with the means are wonderful. Those without, we appreciate it as well. But thank you, Julie, for being so sweet and so consistently sweet about it. So, Hal, are you a demon in this shoot? No, I don't know that a demon would look like this. I'm not good looking enough to be a demon. I'm too cute. You know, you can get yours. I know I mailed it out, so it might just take some people a little longer, maybe. I don't know. You got yours yesterday, but you're in the Orange County. That's right. You're close by. So it might be, you know, might be today or Tuesday, I guess, because MLK Day is a holiday. Yeah, it would seem like, Natalie, you would get yours sooner as well, maybe even today, simply because you're in Vegas. Oh, thank you, Julie. But yeah, so I got one, but I hope I got one. So I hope it comes. They should be. Oh, you moved. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, hopefully it might take some if it has to get fired. I originally mailed one out to Carl's old address, and then realized because he just talked about the move. I haven't seen the post. I'm going to see it today. Brooks and I are going to go see it. There you go. So I'm going to see the post today. I actually have the screener, but I want to see it in theaters because I support it. Yeah. Let's see. I look good in a red shirt, too. All right, well, good. I'll wear more red, then, if that's the case. The patches are HSRPM progressive patches. It's this symbol, but in blue. Speaking of Demons and Souls, have you seen Preacher on AMC? Great, amazing show. 2 seasons in so far. I have not. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I randomly remembered you and searched up your name on YouTube and found this stream. Well, there you go. That's the best way to end up here. And now you know about the radio show, and you can join us in there. You can call in sometimes. You can put your 2 cents in, or you can super chat because of all the joy I've brought to you over the course of your life. There you go. If the lead singer of Bush can play a demon in human form in a movie, then Hal can as well. I agree. That's right. The post is great. Really centers on Streep's character. That's great. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So, I mean, the reviews for her performance have been terrific. Putting a patch on a black leather jacket. That's a great place for it. Goes well on messenger bags and all kinds of stuff. It's just the way a demon would appear. Cute. That's right. Highly recommend. I think you'd get a kick out of it. I will. Okay, I'll check it out right now. I've been while I've been writing, I've been watching Aquarius, the David Duchovny series, which is really, really, really weird. Like, I like him so much, but it's such an odd show. We're gonna get patch shirts or rings out here yet. They haven't been made yet. No. I want to see the post this week, Carl, and then eat Chinese food at the food court. How about the Demon Deacon even better? Okay. All right. We get the idea that with my eyebrows and if I tilt my head forward, I can probably play demonic on some level as long as I do that. Yeah, it could probably work. All right. Like, hello, welcome to 666 Fifth Avenue. I'm your concierge/owner, Hal Sparks. Something like that? Yeah. Dakota Rings. That's a great idea. I soured on Aquarius. I did too, Carl. Like, midway through, I'm like, what am I watching? Because it plays so slapdash with the facts and of the time and stuff. And I would have just liked to, like, the whole Charles Manson storyline of it is a little friggin' weird, quite frankly. And I would have rather just watched David Duchovny's character navigating the sort of the racial quagmire the country was in while they were, in the backdrop of the Manson family murders are happening elsewhere. This kind of weird interaction where this dude ended up, beating up Charles Manson. All these people, if they'd have just killed Charles Manson, could have solved it, is the weird kind of side story of that. It's very weird. My wife saw your Mr. Peabody pic on Instagram and said she would have never recognized you. Yeah, that's Summer came up with the Mr. Peabody name. I don't think the Manson storyline worked at all. I completely agree. Like, making him this, like, bisexual who freed people emotionally from the bonds of their sexual holding, like limitations and stuff. I liked Mindhunters. It's a little rudimentary for me, and the opening is kind of amazing. Like, the opening scene is what sold the whole series. After a while, it's just like, oh, we're seeing them. It's like watching the writer's room for Criminal Minds 2 years before it went on the air. Like, okay, what are we going to call everything? Yeah, they're going to do after he's in, like, so Manson's in this, is a character in Aquarius, and now DiCaprio is apparently going to play him in a Tarantino movie, and I'm like, can't we be over Charles Manson, for Christ's sake? Like at one point, was it H.S. Holmes, the serial killer in America who built like a big murder house and all that kind of stuff? Totally, there are tons of dudes with a higher body count and horror story than Manson, and it certainly captured a nation at the time. Now it should be no surprise that somebody who's a liar, who's manipulative, can talk a bunch of young people into doing stupid stuff, and then eventually, becoming, a danger to society. That shouldn't surprise anybody. So, I don't know. Twilight's episode was called "Nothing in the Dark." Redford is death that comes for an old lady in a basement. Right. I like Hannah Gross with Jonathan Groff. Okay. Manson was only 5'2". That's right. And he weighed 199 pounds. If you in Donald Trump pounds. Is that going to be a new thing? Trump pounds? Like I weigh, I weigh 110 pounds in Trump pounds. Helter Skelter, the movie covered Charles Manson pretty well. I still have the movie on VHS. I remember reading the book when I was just out of high school because it was like banned in the U.S. This book has been banned. Well, it was banned back then. It wasn't banned later, but the only good thing about 2017, Manson died. There was some other good stuff, but I would count that in. Brad is definitely among the best of the Twilight Zone episodes, and it has me a Far Eastern philosophical feel. That's interesting. Okay, well, yeah, I think Trump pounds is I'm 90 in Trump pounds. That's exactly right. Like, take lunar gravity and divide by 2. That's exactly it. Yeah. It's like telling your agent centigrade, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'd have to look at, I don't know. I have to look up the equation for determining percentages or whatever, what the multiplication point would be. Trump pounds equals quarter pounders, right? It's like dog years. Yeah. In reverse, though. Think of what his hair would look like with no gravity. Oh my God. You gotta see the movie. Oh, okay. Trump, who you calling it? Yeah. Yeah, this like that. If that turns out to be true, which the problem is, there's a danger of them like seeding fake news on purpose so that see who takes the bait, because some of what he says is so ridiculous it's easy to believe it. I myself have accidentally recreated retweeted parody accounts thinking it was the real thing and had to retract it and fix it because it was so believable, in matching with what he said. Oh, Moby. Yeah, so, oh, I never got to this story, and I wanted to address this one during the show. Trump pounds in reality is rapidly equaling Taft pounds, right? It's, we're in danger of Trump entering the like Kremlin 1970s rule, which is like the president is in fine normal health. That means you translate that the president has had tuberculosis for the last 9 years. And then if you're like, the president has never felt better. Translation, the president has been dead for 6 weeks. Okay, so there's a story. Two big stories came out in following the kind of the shithole comment that he made. One was that he asked an Asian woman he was being interviewed by where she was from. She said New York. He said, where? Really? She said Manhattan. He said, no, where are your people from? She said, I'm Korean. He said, why don't I have the pretty Korean lady negotiating my with Kim Jong-un? Okay, with North Korea. So, okay. He could have simply said, I mean, literally, he could have bailed midway and said, so you're Korean. I was not aware you're Korean. From your last name, I couldn't tell if it was a Chinese surname or or a Korean surname. My apologies. But then immediately he just dumps into the reason he said it was, was why don't I have the pretty Korean lady negotiating? Wow. Being in healthcare, a man, his height and weight, taking cholesterol medication, and no exercise, no physician would call that excellent health. Absolutely, Cheryl. That's what's absurd. Like, this doctor is, if this doctor comes out and embarrasses himself, he's ruining his own career for no reason. It's weird. Okay, so President Trump was apparently unaware that not all, in fact, the vast majority of welfare beneficiaries are not black as recently as last March, according to a new report. In the spring of 2017, the newly elected president met with members of Congressional Black Caucus. During that meeting, one of the members mentioned to Trump that welfare reform would be detrimental to her constituents, adding that not all of whom are black, according to NBC. The president was incredulous. Really? Then what are they? Statistically speaking, they were probably white. In fact, whites are the biggest beneficiaries when it comes to government safety net programs like temporary assistance for needy families, commonly referred to as welfare. White people without a college degree, ages 18 to 64, are the largest class of adults lifted out of poverty by such programs, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. The think tank's 2017 report stated that 6.2 million working-age whites were lifted above poverty line in 2014, compared to 2.8 million blacks and 2.4 million Hispanics. When it comes to supplemental nutrition assistance, or SNAP, the initiative formerly known as food stamps, the numbers are similar. Over 40% of SNAP recipients are white, another 25.7% are black, 10.3% are Hispanic, 2.1% are Asian, 1.2% are Native American, according to the 2015 Department of Agriculture report. Yeah, so he didn't understand why it's unclear whether he was confused that only black people are on welfare, or all of her constituents must be black because she's a black constituent. And that's more in line with, I think, reality, because he at one point when he was talking to April Ryan that time, she's like, would you meet with the Black Caucus? Would you set up the meeting? Would you want to set up the meeting? She's like, no, sir, I'm a reporter. Are they friends of yours? Like, all black people know each other. That whole dust up that was steamrolled by another horrible sentiment probably a week later. Yes, Kushner bought 666 Fifth Avenue at the peak of the bubble. And apparently the Church of Satan couldn't make the mortgage happen. I think you're thinking of Felix Leiter. What are we talking about, Felix Leiter? That's a normal person would have said. Do Val Kilmer say, please, please, you know what line? Oh, right. I don't know what happened. Or the chicken line. You English with your chips, your fish and chips. On the plane I have the chicken. Like, all right, I'll do it. See, Sonny Boy, his German character. Like, there's so much great stuff in that. I loved it. The only bad accent in the whole thing is his fake Brooklyn accent that he uses. Previously on 666 Park Avenue. I feel like I should do a TV show like, hi, I'm Hal Sparks, and I want to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. I don't have a $1.6 billion, though, but then, hey, neither does Jared Kushner. Neither does Donald Trump. None of them have enough money to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. They used other people's money to do it, and I'd like to do the same. Hi. Welcome to I Want to Buy 666. Are you speaking figuratively or specifically, Amos? Trump, you're a Korean person. Do you know the Gangnam Style? Yeah, totally. Those poor folks in Hawaii went nuts with this false alert. Straighten this crap out before it's used as a form of voter suppression. Yeah. Yeah, start a GoFundMe. The biggest GoFundMe. Everyone chip in to help Hal. Thank you. Yeah. First ever YouTube telethon. That's not a bad idea. How about we do that? That'll be this week. We'll do a special HSRPM. I want to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. And we'll go, to start the campaign, we need super chat. So everybody contribute super chat on that one. I want $6.66 from everybody on that special. So if you're in the chat room and you can super chat, you should give $6.66 to my campaign to buy 666 Fifth Avenue and bail out Jared Kushner so that he can get on with prison reform. I'm for it. I think it's a great idea. Ew. Arrow, come on. Get out of here. No. Piss off with that. I mean, yeah, I think that would be hilarious. Great, I can give 666. I think that would be so funny. Please, yeah. And, you know. Yeah. And it can't be like, you know, like, I thought you wanted $666. You know, yeah, 666 is Trump's true weight. That's great. In British stone, right? Oh, I would take 666. Oh, thanks to help out Jared. Thanks, Chris. That's so awesome. But save it for Wednesday, everybody. Save it for Wednesday. We'll do a special show. Any time of day. Let's just pick a time of day during the daytime or like, you know, because it'd be Pacific time. So noon Pacific time or like 5 o'clock Pacific time. What do you think? Isn't a stone 14 pounds? Yeah, exactly. So 666 14-pound stones. That's right. Yeah, so whatever. Yeah, got to go now. 2 shows today. Capitol Steps in the afternoon. Smokey Robinson in the... Wow, very nice. Have a great time, Seattle, Susie Q. Your daytime, mine night. Right. I was shocked when doctor charged me $50 credit card. Or the Tamiflu RX by phone request. Prime time evening. That'd be great. Noon, great idea. No later than noon Pacific. Oh, all right. 5, otherwise I'm working. Gotcha. Okay. 5 pack time. We might have to do 2 episodes or might just let it stream on, you know, have a full day, do it Alex Jones style. You know. Your evening, I'll be sleeping. You'll miss out on fun sound, right? Yeah. Yeah, I should do it at 6:06 a.m. Or I should do it at 7:16 a.m. and then again at 7:16 p.m. We're a global chat. I know you guys are spread all over the place. Okay, yeah, sure, for disinfectant. All right, so we might have to do 2 of them. It might have to be an ongoing thing. I'm 8 hours ahead of Pacific, so yeah, you are, Nicola. So that's a long stretch. Nicola, are you in England? You're in London, right? Or London proper? I don't know exactly. So that's right. Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe I'll go to the house in Vegas and play with the kittens and go. We need a home for our cats, so I'm trying to raise money. Can you imitate a pufferfish and scream like Alex Jones? Yeah. They are demons from hell. I can't even. I'm not allergic to shellfish. There's nothing I could do. You're 9 hours ahead. All right, now it's becoming a thing. The property tax for 666 Fifth Avenue would be insane. Yeah, it would. No question. But I would ask for a tax break to buy it and keep it sound from the city. I think that. Yes, I saw your joke and I understood it. I didn't approve. How are pointing the camera to a picture of Cam. Save the child, right? Yeah, I'm not. I couldn't be as sweaty as Alex Jones. Alex Jones will huff and puff and fail to blow. Oh, you know what I'll do? I own infotainmentwars.com, so it might be the time to launch that this week and start our big move to that the Infotainment War show will be there. And that's I'll sell some sort of supplement. I'll get my name put on a B vitamin and have everybody buy my special B vitamins. And Camden is beautiful and wonderful and glorious and smart, and he got a good report card, and we're very excited. I'm in Northeast England, Hartlepool, place where Ridley Scott went to college. Well, that's impressive, because Ridley Scott directed my favorite movie. Alex Jones, if he doesn't go home laughing because he has his listeners convinced that his act is real, I feel sorry for him because it means he believes what he's saying. It's half and half. He's an angry scumbag. That's great, Hal. I'll sponsor. There you go. Yeah, we'll have to, like, I'll set up a whole Patreon. I'll complain about how I'm being censored. Actually, Hal, can you sell my supplements? Just the ones you have in your cabinet? Hal's Bees. That's a great idea. Well, you know what? We'll call them Lady Bee. And we'll have a ladybug on the front of it, and these will take Lady Bees, in honor of Lady Bee. And part of the money will go to buying 666 Fifth Avenue, but the other part will go to help Lady B's relatives in Puerto Rico. This is starting to turn into a plan, guys. I'm liking it. I'm liking that you're yes-anding this. You sell supplements. I did not know that. They would have to be proprietary and have my name on them. Arrow is gone. He's gross. Yeah, I saw the one joke and I dumped it, but it seems consistent. So, yeah, this might be the launch of an entire industry. How magic beans? That's a great idea. Sell my magic beans. They're $5, but $40 shipping and handling. No. There's $6.66 with $6.66 as shipping and handling. Oh my God, that would be so funny. Is this just an elaborate ruse for a pyramid scheme? No, it's not a pyramid scheme if you admit it's a pyramid. Right? Lady B's Puerto Rican Defense Fund. That's right. I'm starting to like this, guys. This might be something. Should be on Lucifer after Tom Welling leaves, right? Wait for the fire sale? Yeah, exactly. Those bouncing beans they used to sell at Walgreens. Yeah, like, I'll just put jumping beans in a pill bottle, and on the back it just says, "Don't eat these, dummy." And then the front of it makes it look like a pill, right? Hawaii's false alarm fund, will benefit that as well. Should do it at 706, technically 666, right? Yeah, what did I say? 716? Duh. Yeah, 706. Sea monkeys. Sell sea monkeys as a supplement. But wait, for shipping and handling, you can get a second bottle of Hal's Magic Beans, right? These are, all the stuff that's in our water that's turning the frogs gay is, I can't even do that. I'm not going to hurt my voice even pretending to be that jerk. I'll just do a higher voice. Hi, I'm Alexia Jones, and you need my special magic beans. Not fit for human consumption, dummy. Right, exactly. Oh, that's a great idea. Sell scales that weigh you in Trump pounds. There's no need for diets in America. Oh, this is great. This is all good stuff. Just eat some gravel, right? Like I'm a chicken. Number one rule of improv is yes, and that's right. I need a wig with that voice. I do. It's not floating with the whole look. I'm presenting the wrong. Yeah. I sell Norway some F-52s. Absolutely. That's a great idea, King David White. That voice must kill Stephen Colbert. Oh, it's rough. Yeah. Jerk Jerkinson. Yeah. I think to do Alex Jones, you'd have to swallow a bottle of bleach. Yeah, you'd have to gargle, bleach in clamshells. That's for sure. The frogs were recruited by Tony Perkins. It's because they weren't spanked in the shower by their dads as children, according to the Family Research Council. Why can't you do a John Wayne impression? Well, hello, partner. We're trying to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. Something along those lines? Yeah. Alex has to be on something? Yeah, he's on more than likely, he's on a combo of whatever his smart pill is, which has probably got a version of Adderall, a knockoff of, we could look it up. He's definitely on his version of brain pills that are speed. So, let's see, InfoWars supplements. There you go. So, official, Brain Force Plus. Neural activation. Let's see what they're, so, you can get their supplies of food. Yeah, so, in it is, let's see, yerba mate leaf powder, which, if those of you that know, I drink mate as a tea, is a very concentrated, similar form of caffeine, called wafine. He's got, let's see, alpha GPC, a common compound like choline, basically. Bacopa herb, neurological tonic and cognitive enhancer in Ayurvedic medicine, reed stimulant, L-theanine, vitamin B12, and black pepper fruit extract. And yeah, so basically it's dual caffeinated through the Bacopa herb extract and the mate leaf powder, which probably makes up a large part of what the actual thing is. He's on that, and he's clearly on, I don't know if he's drinking coffee or energy drinks beforehand, but mix those together. And then I wouldn't doubt if he takes Provigil, Vigil, or Modafinil as a brain stack. And pretty much whatever the bulletproof coffee guy is doing, most people are taking a version of that. In corporate America, and Alex is probably taking the same thing. L-theanine probably takes the bath salts and cocaine, right? L-theanine probably takes the edge off of some of the stimulants. When you play a character that's married or something, does it ever set the stage for awkward moments at home with your family? No. So far, Camden never had a weird moment in watching Lab Rats with my wife on there, and my girlfriend Summer, and and Camden's mom. Like, he didn't seem kind of confused by that. It's like, that's just on TV. He's playing. He's acting, and he knows that. He's known it from when he was super young. So he seems to day drink too, according to sources in journal. That wouldn't surprise me, because his heartbeat's probably going a mile a minute because 100 miles a minute because of the amount of stuff that he's giving. He's probably getting tachyarrhythmia, so he's probably cutting it with something. I don't know that for a fact. I'm speaking completely out of school, but being around him and knowing what a big fan of chocolate cake and red wine he was, and he wouldn't shut up about it when we were there. Raw water, you figure it out. Yeah, heart problems. Let's see. But yeah, so I think the special to buy 666 Fifth Avenue is a great idea. So raw water is crazy. It's their version of I guess their version of alkaline water or something. I don't know. Health and wellness. Water filtration. Yeah, so they have that's a big thing because they got a lot of people and I think they pretty much are just, for all these things, they're just a Amazon subscriber or Alibaba. But they sell water filtration systems to all their folks. I haven't seen the raw water yet, unless that's a joke you guys are making, which I wouldn't be surprised at. His Patriot Blend coffee. Meal management bags, basically the InfoWars version of a macho version of Weight Watchers. That doesn't surprise me about Seagal, sadly. I was a fan of his back in the 80s and like the first 2 movies. And I actually thought that the overall message in Fire Down Below was actually pretty decent. It's but knowing what I know from him over the last 20 years, it wouldn't surprise me. If they are true, he should go through the courts and be jailed for it. Unpurified water, where's that? Tap for sale. Raw water isn't filtered or treated in any way. You get the germs and feces and all. Not kidding. Oh, man. Raw water should be taken from Flint. That's hilarious. Raw water is a thing? Isn't he a cop in Russia now? Yeah, he was. He got deputized for that show, and then I guess he was being a police officer in Russia. Give me a LAPD is investigating. Yeah, check out the children's book they sell with Trump as a cute bunny. Oh God. Yeah, so I think that's the plan. I will see you guys later. I'm gonna ditch out now. It's been almost an hour, so I appreciate you guys sticking around with me. I love the idea of the 666 fundraiser to start that program. I'm 100% for it. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for just finding it. And I appreciate you liking Lab Rats. Started watching stand up. Are you planning to act anytime soon? I just did a movie. It comes out in a couple months. It's called Bachelor Lines. And yeah, I'll be doing more stuff. But right now I've spent the last little bit writing and directing. So yes, I'll see you guys later. Sign up for the super chat and figure all that out before Wednesday so you can do the 666 thing. That would be hilarious and wonderful. And we'll have special giveaways and stuff like that for people, and that'll make it a lot of fun. So I might do it twice because of the time difference for some people. So we might do like an hour and a half in the early part of the day and an hour and a half at night on Wednesday, but we'll figure it out. I'll tweet and let everybody know when it's going to air, and we'll of course tweet when it's going out or whatever. So thanks for joining and sticking around for the post show. Of course, Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide is on Saturdays 9 to 11 on WCPT radio, so you can listen to it on the radio like a normal person, or you can watch it here at halsparks.tv. Like and subscribe if you get a chance. And then of course, if you're in the chat and you stick around afterwards, we have these great moments. You guys can ask questions and we can get into stuff, and you guys are wonderful. Thanks to everybody who did the super chat today, and we will see you next week. But we'll also see, we got, I think, 2, maybe even 3 specials coming up this week. So stick around, like and subscribe, and you'll find out and you'll get alerts. Be well, and I'll see you on Twitter. Bye. Thanks, guys.